to this short video which will introduce you to formulating a powerful argument, drawing and enticing the reader in to agree with your substantiated perspective. So what is an argument? Well, it's most definitely not one of these. Here I've identified the features of an argument for you. But most importantly, at the heart of all arguments is a claim. That is the main premise that you are interested in proving or writing about. Establishing your claim is one of the most important parts of any piece of academic work, whether that be an essay, a presentation, a literature review, a dissertation, or research paper. A good claim should be bold, exciting, and most importantly, worth arguing over. And a version of your claim or your thesis will probably be included somewhere in your introduction. So let's look at each of those points. An argument implies in assessing and synthesizing a range of evidence in published material or from that found elsewhere. As a critical reader, you will also assess this evidence, and we will discuss criticality in a future recording. So really what we're getting at here is that you need to do lots of reading, and that reading is credible. That you are drawing together a wide range of readings and evidence for your argument. Your aim is to build up a coherent and convincing position using this evidence. And it's very important not to make any assumptions about your reader or popular opinion. Sentences that begin with, "It is accepted that," or "we know that," or "no one would argue," may antagonise someone marking your essay. Substantiate every claim you make, no matter how obvious or true you think it is, by using sources as evidence. An argument includes citations, references. It will provide examples exemplifying your argument and also counter-arguments. Now, whilst you may feel that acknowledging views opposing yours will weaken your argument, the opposite is in fact true. Your essay will look stronger if you can show that you have come to the conclusions you have chosen, despite considering objections to your own opinion. If you can write about objections and explain why these are wrong, again giving evidence, then it shows that your argument is robust and will also give the reader greater faith in your essay writing, as they will feel your essay or dissertation is giving them an unbiased and rounded view. Your constructed argument then builds towards your conclusion. Or you may in addition find that you'll be making mini conclusions throughout. So the following slide image provides a line of argument that you may construct in your assignment. Now, while some subheadings have been put in here, in reality, you would remove those for an essay. But each of those headings in this image represents a strand of your argument within your assignment before coming to your final conclusion. And within those paragraphs, we will start to break the argument down further. Let's look at a structure of an argument paragraph. So here we're looking at topic sentence, supporting sentences, and concluding sentences. In our topic sentence, you are introducing the topic of the paragraph or section. In the supporting sentences, Here, you will include those that support your topic sentence. You may find ones that add to and extend your arguments or counter-argue, as we have discussed. So realistically, you will use more than one reference in your argument. For those of you that are looking to develop your writing, then we will encourage you to use multiple references. And as you do this, you will start to make mini conclusions by really asking yourself, well, what does your paragraph tell the reader? And I'll add perhaps a transition or segue to the next paragraph. Of course, it doesn't have to fit exactly like this, but you can't go too far wrong following this structure. It's important then to consider what type of language we use to build those arguments. So let's look at that first section, topic sentence. So here we're introducing work. There are a number of different ways to introduce work. The following examples give you a range of vocabulary that you can use. So I might say, Beb argues, or discusses, or examines, or observes. Obviously, using the correct verb depends on the context of what you are writing about. These, of course, may be in the past or present tense. Again, it will depend on the structure of your assignment. So once we've identified the topic, we'll look to find some supporting evidence. So here again, you'll use language that is similar to the, which identifies a similar supporting argument. So again, some language such as Beb substantiates the point by Cottrell, for example. The findings here are comparable to those of. X supports the argument by Y. Or there are a number of similarities between the arguments of. There is a wide range of different supporting sentences which demonstrate a similarity in perspectives, which we would encourage you to do to start building your argument. Moreover, you may find people that will extend your argument. So here, where we may agree with some of the argument, but actually extend the argument by adding something perhaps new. So here, you might say something like, X adds to the argument, suggesting that, or whilst supporting X, Y identifies additional aspects to be considered when. I particularly like the phrase, a broader perspective is provided by. So it's just opening up and extending that initial argument. Now we've talked about counter arguments and language to demonstrate differences in perspectives or findings. Here we've got in contrast to, or conversely, or the view of Beb differs or contrasts from that of Cottrell. Or there may be nuances in a definition that are apparent. Nuances are slight differences. And then adding to illustrate. So here I'm exemplifying examples by using that language. Caution is required with this perspective. So there are, again, lots of different types of language and vocabulary that you can use to demonstrate your counter argument. But within that, we also need to start drilling down to our mini conclusions. So here we are summing up in your paragraph. So we're saying, well, based upon that evidence, what does that mean? So maybe I would say, despite the counter argument provided, it is evident or clear that. Or I might have identified some important themes emerging from this discussion. So what have we learned from what the evidence that we've provided in that paragraph? You might identify it requires further exploration. You might identify why that may be, and we'll certainly look at criticality in another video. Don't forget also to use discourse markers, that's words that show connections, so thus, therefore, and also signal the transitions between your theories or your perspectives or your paragraphs. Now you might want to check out the Manchester Academic Phrase Bank for useful phrases to include in your arguments. These are across a number of different pages, and I've added the link for the generic homepage of the phrase bank, and you'll have to sift through to find the ones that you would like to use, but I would recommend the ones from these slideshows will be more than enough to start with. I would also introduce you to Jean Godfrey's academic phrase book as well. I'll show you a picture of that in a moment. So some useful points to remember. Remember, you are sharing different viewpoints to build your argument. Of course, you need to know what your argument is, and you do that through reading. Try to draw mini conclusions throughout by asking what is the evidence telling you to date. And you need more than one source of evidence, generally per paragraph, to demonstrate synthesis and an argument. So use that point as a way to review your own work, review your paragraphs, and identify how you are using your sources of evidence. Now, you might find that you provide one person per paragraph, and they're showing the different perspectives of each of those ones. So someone adding to something, someone extending, someone providing alternative viewpoints, then I understand how that would fit in. But generally, you're looking at more than one per paragraph. So if you want to undertake some independent work and develop your knowledge of building an argument, I suggest that you identify a text that relates to one of your modules. So find, ideally, I would suggest a journal looking at either the literature review or a discussion area of a journal and see how they have brought together an argument, or review a recent piece of your own work. And doing this, try to consider the following. Are you able to identify the writer's line of argument, or your own if it's you? Are you able to identify micro-arguments or mini conclusions that help to build the writer's overall line of argument? Can you see how the paragraphs are structured in order to build the line of argument? Consider how they use language to build their argument. And ask yourself, do you feel well guided as a reader? Now, this might be something that you want to review in your tutorial time with your tutors. So, what you might want to ask in a tutorial is, have I built up a sufficient argument? This is particularly important because it can hit marks in a number of different ways. For example, your mini conclusions will help towards evaluation by bringing together different perspectives. You'll be synthesizing, and this will also add to your presentation by having a coherent and logical structured argument. So I've got a couple of additional resources here which I've used in the presentation, and as I mentioned, Jean Godfrey's The Student Phrase Book, which is a really good book if you can get access to that. So I'm now going to leave it over to you. I look forward to hearing about how you've built up an argument in your assignments, and remember, believe in yourself. Thank you for listening.